We lost. All right, guys, so we'll call the meeting to order. It's 5 o'clock. And we got an audience of two. All right, so let's go ahead and call it to where we got it at 5 o'clock. Could somebody help us with the prayer? Whoever you want it?
Yeah.
Go.
Father God, we just thank you for this time to come together as community leaders, Lord God, to discuss the matters here for Lacombe Fire Department, for Lord God. For those that are sick and in need of healing, Father, we lift those up to you this evening. Lord God, I pray that all of the matters here that are discussed will be done in a Christ-like manner. For it's in his name we pray.
Amen.
All right, I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you for. Michael, is that video news?
That's just a different camera angle.
Is it? All right, so now I've got to start sucking in my stomach.
It's really gonna allow me to show you PowerPoint at some point.
Okay, so let's do a roll call. Mr. Ricks,
Here.
Mr. Casnay,
Yeah.
Mr. Baptiste,
Here.
Mr. Jacks,
Here.
myself, we have a quorum. Want to recognize we got the administration chiefs and Mr. Risa, and we also have PMI here. And we have members of the public and from Hearts on Fire. And so we'll get into the approval of the minutes. So we've got two to approve. And so we'll have to handle those separately. So I'd like to get a motion to accept the minutes of July 9th.
You have. Let me know.
Sorry.
I'll make the move.
Okay. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a second. Any discussion on those minutes? I hear none, so let's vote. All in favor of accepting the minutes of July 9th, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none, so that carries. So we need a motion to accept the minutes of August 8th, which was the special meeting that we called.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Okay, we have second. And we have a second. Any discussion concerning the minutes of August 8th? I hear none, so let's vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none, so the motion carries. Chief, taking it to you, employee recognition.
Real quickly, we had some employees, made 1 year. Some of them were, pinned last month as they were confirmed, but we do have CJ Albertson, who was, 1 year on July 1st. Chelsea Johnson, she's a part-time paramedic, July 1st, 1 year. We have a new employee, Erin Olson, who, came on board July 14th. Some guy named Mike Gilliard made 16 years, July 20th. Congrats.
Congrats.
That's all the employee recognition we have for tonight.
All right, thank you. Move this into the treasurer's report, so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Raymond.
Okay, as you look at receipt and disbursement for the budget performance for 2025, we had a beginning balance of annual budget of $130,300 and end up $19,550 on the end of this month. And we have an operating cash balance of $2,172.64 and $64.41. So that's for the cash balance, for the checking and saving. And on the reconciliation summary, the ending the last before was $602,139.49. The ending balance was $342,428.26. And in the bank account, we had a beginning balance, previous balance of $602,139.49, an ending balance of $377,916.27. And that's I have the operating account. We had a beginning balance Its description of the operating account, the balance of $341, and was account spending on the third. And in the other account, we had a balance of $348, the operating account, the second one, and ending balance of $947.70. That concludes my report.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second on it. Is there any discussion concerning what Mr. Raymond presented?
Make a motion that we accept.
Okay, so we got a motion already, we have a second, so let's go ahead and vote. All in favor of accepting the treasurer's report, say aye. Any opposed? I hear none, so the motion carries. I do have a few things, they didn't tie directly to the treasurer's report, but it's just financial information. So there are 500,000 T-bill or bond T-bill that's maturing comes tomorrow, actually. And so what I'm told to do with it is to go ahead and move 250,000 into the money market and reinvest the balance. It might be 255,000. I don't recall what the exact balance was. And to reinvest that into another 6 month T-bill, which would have it maturing in February 2026. So that gives us a treasury bill that would mature October, December, and February. Okay. The other things, it just was looking at some of the financials. I know that we a little past mid-year, and I know trends are going to change as the year passes, but just there are some things that jump out and I'm looking at firefighter disbursements, and that consists of awards, recognition, fire equipment, fire prevention education, training, turnout gear. And right now, our current spend is 130,000 and some change. We budgeted for about 70,000. And the trend has us moving at 223,000, but it's my understanding that's because of turnout gear. That's correct, Chief?
Yeah, we made that board approved purchase turnout gear towards the new year. A handful of other items we're purchasing to get ahead of PIL
Property insurance, okay.
in November. So I think we should be slowing down on that. I don't think we have any other major purchases planned for that specific line item. We do have some fire prevention stuff that'll be coming up for October. But the primary purchases for turnout and equipment should be
Printing back,
be
so
trending down.
that's should, we're not gonna get back on track. We've already exceeded, said our budgeted to 70 and we spent 130. But if we can keep it less than 223, would be helpful. We had substantial repairs and maintenance. And that repair and maintenance has nothing to do with ambulance. That is buildings, non-EMS equipment, et cetera. And it looks like our spend has been about 170,000 and we're budgeted for 118. Was that predominantly some of the work we did at the training building?
Yeah, we did some continuous work at 31. We did the additions, the advancements to the building at the training building, air condition, and then some other repairs here and there throughout the other buildings. Yes.
Okay, sure.
And I think a lot of those were board-approved adjustments that were never reflected back in the original budget to be amended.
Okay, so we know, we're gonna be over, but our trend should be dropping again on it. I did see something that caught my eye on payrolls. I noticed that last month our payroll was about 100,000 more for the month than previous months. It generally looked like we were running about 200,000 in payroll but last month it was knocking right at 300,000.
It was a 3 pay period month.
Is that what
Yes,
drove it?
You have 2 of those per year with the 26 pay.
So that's what it gave us 100,000 difference. Fair enough. Perfect. Okay,
Or actually, maybe Michael got a raise for 16 years.
if Michael got a raise, I sure like to know about it.
Michael didn't see it, but being a three, pay period month, and we have, some employees on sick leave. so
Yeah, the overtime, I knew the overtime was kicking us,
A lot of upgrades too, huh?
We are doing some upgrading as well with,
but that ended,
Well, it was
it was.
for you two mostly, I
Three
think,
pay
from
periods.
the-
90% of it was the.
While
3rd
you
pay
were
period.
in them,
Perfect.
That shouldn't reflect it.
no, that's not reflected there.
No, sir.
And that does skew your year-end numbers because it happened in July, so.
Okay. I haven't seen anything on the 2% fire rebate. We got nothing in for it, and we got a budget for about 50,000. When does that come in?
Usually it comes in the 4th quarter of the year.
So it's gonna come in late.
Yes.
Okay.
The rebate, your holdback and everything else should come in the 4th quarter of the year.
Okay.
You should also, which we'll have to address probably in December, you should get another early
Yeah, Avalora.
ad valorem collection as well too.
Okay. EMS receipts, just, there's nothing much we could do about this. But our trends are steadily dropping. So we said we was gonna get about 720,000 in EMS receipts, and we're trending now into the high 600s. So it's every month it's coming down some. I guess I would just have to ask, is there anything in our control that we could do about that? I know demographics, we may have had a busy July with Medicare and Medicaid. It could have been a demographic thing. I don't know if numbers are up or down, but I know Chief has actually, we looked into increasing ambulance charges. And I believe we're satisfied that we're charging about as much as we could charge. Is that?
I did speak to Coronas, who handle several agencies out of Louisiana, and according to them, we're on par as far as our billing and charges, so there's no need to increase our rates at this time.
All right, thank you.
And Mr. Danny, on the building, I remember. when-
Ambulance billing.
As far as the by month. I remember, obviously I don't have the information in front of me, but whenever I trended this, maybe like a year, 2 years ago, every year between like May and August wasn't trended as like a belly and income.
Is it
It's,
because of call volume? What's the?
I'm not sure what it was. I just, whenever I analyzed like a 6-7 year
You've seen
period, there
you've
was a
seen a
trend.
dip, you've seen a dip, but we don't know why that dip exists.
Well, if you think about it, we don't normally get a bump at the end of the year, holidays and everything, anxieties, hurricane season. We have the up and down swing.
Yeah, it just.
I think summertime is naturally a down swing.
It's, I get it, that, we can't drive the medical business, we can't make people have car wrecks, I know we can't do that. But I just kind of watch this, because if we were anticipating 720 and and it trends down to 650, we need to be watching that number, because that's revenue that's coming through the door. I think that's all I have. Is there anything else before? Anything else? All right. Well, that's going to conclude the treasurer's report then. There's no action on anything that I've talked about. I'm just asking some questions. So, we're at the chief's report.
All right, I appreciate it. Just some numbers, 98.4% medical coverage as far as paramedic ALS coverage. Last month, 155 calls. Total calls year to date is 1,074 plus probably 3 more calls that we had since I wrote that number down. One mutual aid request due to our med unit being out for service. I know Mike and Mark are gonna talk on some, matters that fall underneath there.
Do we have EMS calls?
I do not have that.
Okay, so if you could get them to me maybe by tomorrow, so I can do my work. I need the EMS calls and the EMS transports.
We'll get that. Teresa has that, at her fingertips, I'm sure, as far as what we submit to bill. I'm sorry.
Okay, I just need that to look at our ambulance finances.
Alrighty, Mike and Mark have been talking some things that fall underneath their little scope of practices, but, Fire Prevention Bureau, that's something we continue to work on. We, have some employees who are doing their field training. It's a skill sheet that they have to get checked off through, a certified fire prevention bureau like Slidell District 12. And so, Tasson has done his. I know we have a few of us that are going to schedule hours to go and do, those ride-alongs. Once we have at least one, which we have, we can submit that to the Fire Prevention Bureau, State Fire Marshal's office, and then get those, rolling and get that program and that,
So
bureau
we're a
rolling.
little bit ahead of schedule. I thought you said fourth quarter, so.
I think so. I think we're doing fine with that. It's just a matter of, again,
Oh,
us
good deal.
going out and doing our field training. Insurance, I just want to give you all an update. We had our first onboarding, open enrollment insurance meeting this morning. I think it went exceptionally well. The material that this new company provides us with, I think makes it very simple. I did my onboarding today. I keep calling it onboarding, open enrollment today, through their portal. It makes it super simple. It's all, web-based, documents, and you can see exactly what it's gonna cost per pay period. It does all the math for you. It takes all the thinking out of it so you can make some of those
So you're
decisions.
satisfied with the move we
Absolutely.
made from the previous agent to the current?
I'm absolutely satisfied. I think everybody else can agree. Teresa can probably agree the most as the one having to deal with, the paperwork. They provide us with these handy, very simple to understand, pamphlets for each one of us, to be able to go over each policy and each benefit that they option. So again, we started that this morning. We have our second meeting tomorrow morning. And, so far, everything's been so good. So,
When is it scheduled to be closed?
September 1st is the next, pay, insurance, yeah.
That's your
So,
effective date.
yeah, effective date, sorry, yep, September 1st. So we
Still
have,
got a little ways then.
yeah, we have 8 days to get our benefits, what we want into them, and then it'll be effective September 1st.
Okay, but the open enrollment ends this week?
Yeah, 8 days. So we've got 8 days starting today.
Okay.
Yep.
I don't have a lot to report. Chief covered most everything. I'd just say that I'll have everything ready by the budget deadline, so that'll be ready. I just gotta do some final touches with Chief tomorrow. And, that's a wrap. Also got some strategic planning information together for when we get those meetings together. That's all I really got.
So you'll send out a pre-read on the budget
Yes, sir. I'm gonna,
Friday.
yes, sir.
And give me the, if you don't mind, the this year's budget and last year's budget, so I can set them side by side.
Yes, sir.
All right, so events and training for July. We participated at Biotone Middle for the back to school dash. We sent a crew with an engine to daycare on Montana Street for their water day. We sprayed the kids. They had a blast. Whatever. A monthly Friday night, they did mobile home fire tactics. So we want to thank Eddie's Record Service. They were able to drop off 3 vehicles at Station 32. So each crew was able to still, have some practice on extrication.
Does he come pick them back up?
They will. Once we completed with them,
You
they'll
don't-
come pick them back up and there's another handful of them.
I had a guy call me, wanting to know what you guys are doing with them. I said, hell, I don't.
Having fun.
Yep.
I think what they were good fishing was,
Yeah.
they was wanting the cars and I don't know what to do.
One still drives. One actually drives.
Certification classes, this month we sent a lot of people to a handful of classes.
one person to officer one class. Elijah Jad's passed his pump operator class. That was pre-registered,
Cool deal.
for his job, so he's good to go now. We sent one to a mobile water supply, 4 people to incident safety officer, 4 to inspector 1, which will help with the instructions for the Fire Prevention Bureau. And then last Saturday, we hosted the blood drive. That's about it.
Any questions?
Did y'all want to mention anything about the apparatus committee meeting? We met?
We've got that further in when we report on committee.
Okay,
Yeah, just,
It's coming, it's coming.
okay. I didn't want to get in on that.
I do have a question as it relates to the training. So since you've taken on your new role, is there any way that you could, not tonight, but maybe let us know sometime in the future, that the percentage of increase of training that has occurred since your new role started? I know there was during our employee survey, that was something that was come up, and it was
He was one of the top 3 was training.
yeah, there was wanting, more, and so we heard, and we've done things. I was just curious to know, the effect. So you got it. Again, don't need it tonight. There'll be a hurry for it. Maybe next meeting, if you could just kind of say, we're up by 80%. Would be
Yeah,
out.
I'll try and come up with a
Yeah,
percentage.
that would be.
As far as I know, any training requests, we've been able to fulfill them.
Yep.
So everybody is following us, getting everything they want and plus what they need.
Just from an observation, I mean, you guys started to talk about training and people where they're at, and just basing it off the conversation, I can tell it's more. Yeah, but I just don't know, goes back to the survey.
We're trying.
real quick, sorry, on apparatus, he reminded me, and I had a note, Unit 302, that truck y'all approved us to purchase from District 9. It is in, we send it off Friday for lettering and stickers. I have the notary taken care of as far as the title, and so we'll be doing that registration. Hopefully I can sneak in tomorrow and get the registration taken care of, but we'll be getting some letters on that Friday, and then it'll be fully in service and ready to go.
Thought you was gonna tell me the rear end went out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything more about that unit from Gonzalez?
Mike?
You was probably go.
Yes, sir. I took a trip up there, spoke with the current chief, Monday, I went and spoke with him. He's only gonna be the chief for about another week. But what they did have, the only reason we hadn't got a more solid update prior to my meeting with him is that they had bought 2 brand new units. Brand new, nice medical units. Well, come to find out, he kind of gave me the short version of it, but the vendor wasn't a certified vendor. So now they're having delay with that. So now they're expecting that to be resolved by the time, somewhere between, he said, like December, January. As far as he knows, we're still on track. We're the number 1 person that's supposed to be getting it. He said it's probably leaning still towards donation. He's still got to verify that with the mayor. But we're just on hold for the reserve unit. There will be a new chief here shortly. He was the assistant chief I met with initially. I plan on reaching out to him once things slow down to
He was
him
in
in the next
favor of
month.
it when you met with
Yeah,
him.
he was very nice, cordial, So I just need to wait for him to get his feet under him and then reach out to him and verify through the new chief that this is still the plan. But the old chief that I just spoke to, who's moving to the superintendent to Theta, is stated that he, as far as he was concerned, it was still on the way. So that's. So I can't get a finality until I speak to the new chief.
Things change it fast.
Anything else for the chief's report? No action needed from us?
Yes, sir.
All right. Brings us, next on the agenda would be Hearts on Fire, an update.
So the last a few weeks been quite busy for us. We participated as well at the back to school bash We had a lot of community come up to our table to find out about us. We had a few people that gave us, their contact information that wanted us to contact them when we have stuff coming up. We still do not have our certification. It says don't call us, we'll reach out to you, you'll receive something in the mail. So I just go on the website, IRS website, and check, and it just still says pending. But now it says, don't contact us until after, it's been 180 days. So we're not there yet, so, we just keep checking. We also helped out at the blood drive, we had a little table, we had a few community members come up as well. We had a couple of people that signed up as members and, also wanted information, so they gave us their contact information. Right now, we are working on a huge fundraiser for Fire District 3 we're partnering up with Empataco next door. On August 22nd from 5 to 9, we're going to have a tip of fireman or tip your firefighter. What that entails is we're going to have our EMS and firefighter team be the servers that night for 4 hours at Empataco, having the community come involved. We're gonna have karaoke, we're gonna ask some of the members to do their karaoke, they can do it by themselves, they can do little groups how they want. I have flyers going out, I blasted all the Lacombe social media pages, and I've gotten a nice little reviews, comments back, so people are looking forward to interacting with our EMS fire, and I spoke to Empataco and they're super excited about it too. And they're, whatever we need, they're willing to help us, so we can, once I figure out, I put up a sign up sheet for our firefighters to see how many I can get involved to participate as servers and entertainers.
What kind of response did you have from the firemen?
And some of them are for it, and there's a couple of them that have reserved. I told them you are not gonna be voluntold until if I have nobody, then you will be voluntold. I need you, and I asked them to,
That worked as good as
I asked them to dress in their polos, so that way they can be distinguished, in the restaurant from these servers.
And so they get tips, and do they get to keep the tips?
And Pawtucket is graciously going to be matching tips that night.
So
and we are
the
still
money
talking
goes straight to Hearts on Fire.
Hearts on Fire. And our project that we are looking at right now is to help restore some equipment and maps in the training area for them.
What's the date again?
August 22nd. I have a
To
plan.
next Friday, not this Friday, but next.
Yes, yes, a week from Friday. Have some flyers.
Is there anything that the board could do for this event or for Hearts on Fire?
Right now, we just need the word out. We just need people to know who we are, that we're ready to serve the community, have the community involved.
So we've got, we really haven't told everybody else about the outcome of the commission, or the council meeting last week, but is the election, we've got the election. And, we're gonna really need to get the help of Hearts on Fire. I think that they'll play, very important role there. If things work out tonight, we might get you in touch with an individual, kind of help, give you an idea of what we can do and not do, and, so yeah. So we're gonna need your help.
Yes, okay.
Anything else from Ms. Rose? Hearts on Fire, any questions? No?
Scott here.
Yeah,
So you're requiring this polo shirt, right?
Just the both, the bottoms, you can, whatever you're comfortable, if you wanna use your BDUs, jeans. I was, just your polo.
I ain't heard that one in a while.
You good?
And
You
you
good?
don't have,
Are you gonna do it? Oh, you definitely an entertainer, Jim. You've been entertaining me for a lifetime.
and hopefully we can get enough signups that we can split the shifts, not everybody, doesn't have to do it the whole 4 hours, they can sit down with their families and enjoy and give their teammates a hard time. Different shifts, I wanted to do a competition between shifts, but I thought that was gonna be a little bit too hard to try and control, so.
Mr. Karaoke. I think C-shift don't do that.
Don't know.
More people on
All right, so we got anything else? Folks on fire? Moving on. So this brings up Rick's committees and initiatives. So does anybody have anything that they want to report out concerning their respective committees?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, we didn't meet this month, we met last month in July, apparatus committee. It was both chiefs, we sat together, we set some goals. Pretty much, we understand we're gonna wait for the apparatus purchase till after the election. Pretty much, I brought forth about, and I talked to you about it also, about the possibility of purchasing used apparatus as opposed to new, buying them in a certain condition, having them refurbed, but we pretty much ruled that out. So we're pretty much gonna settle on new apparatus at this
Well,
point.
so to be perfectly clear, I didn't rule it out. That's,
Oh, well, the general feeling so far.
Yeah,
We've ruled it
I
out.
just expressed my thoughts on it. My thoughts is that I don't want to go back and buy an apparatus that's, 8 years old, 9 years old.
Mhm.
And
We don't want to be in the same position, I
Yeah,
understand. but
that's my only thought.
It would require,
Thing.
it would require a lot of research, a lot of, getting out there looking. I think the effort in doing that would be twice as much as a new apparatus, because you have to find a good one to begin with, and then have it get refurbed. But the main reason I brought that up is that, plus, if you find a good used apparatus, we set parameters, certain amount of mileage, no older than, 8 years old, whatever. And the time period, once you find the apparatus, purchase it, have it refurbed, might only be about 3 or 4 months. But on average right now, to order a new fire apparatus may take, and most manufacturers takes a year to 2 years to get one delivered once you order it. So to expedite time, used apparatus might be an option. But from what I understand, what Chief Geisler has found out, he has targeted, what is it, US Fire?
Yeah, so with that, we've looked at US Fire, and then we've also have been doing some homework and some other manufacturers that may be able to push out apparatus sooner as well. So I know we have our separate apparatus committee where we're discussing some of these features and stuff like that that we'd also like to see in some of these trucks. And then on the other hand, we have our strategic planning committee who's also trying to tackle how we're going to fund the apparatus and also looking at different options for apparatus. So there are some other companies that we've learned that are putting out quicker turnarounds on some newer stuff. So really, I think at this point, we're trying to make sure we can secure funding while coming up with a game plan to be able to make a purchase as quick as possible.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know that anybody's ruled out used or new, commercial or custom, 4-door, 2-door, combination truck. It's still kind of all out there on the table. We're just trying to game plan and make sure that number one, we can secure the funding, which we're on way to doing that. And then once we guarantee that, then we'll hopefully be able to put some signatures to paper and make the purchase.
Yeah. One of the other things that definitely Chief Gilead took me to a station down there by the interstate, and we looked at some of the apparatus. I think we've definitely identified the apparatuses that have to go. You know, the older ones, you know, they're in bad shape.
Yeah, it's,
You know, we've targeted those. So we know that for sure, you know, so,
it's not hard to find one here that needs to be replaced.
so, but I appreciate, Chief Gilliard, you know, taking the time to come show me the apparatus and I was in total agreement with him after I looked at them, you know. But, yeah, that's not an issue at all.
Okay,
So,
any-
yeah,
any
we're
other-
gonna continue to meet and discuss, you know, things in the future.
So, do we have any other committee report outs?
I just have a question for Mr. Ricks.
Sure.
At some point, are we involving the firefighters, figuring out what they want as far as apparatus?
I think Chief Gilliard is gonna address that with his men.
Okay.
You know, their input is needed. You know, I've been part of those types of committees before. You know, again, you know, it's all gonna come down to budget and, you know, what's available. You know, hands may be tied and to what we can get, what's available. So, yeah, they have that covered.
Okay.
You know,
Sounds good.
I think they'll feel part of it.
Yeah, like the needs and wants type of thing.
Sure.
Trying to do our best to. It's where
We need the electrician or demo line.
Yes, I did speak to, Lance really, last week. He did have some stuff that he, in their demo line right across the lake, and he also, said he'd let us drive them and come and bring a couple demos here and there. They're single cab trucks at the moment, so I didn't see anything. You know, one of the things that we're talking about as far as apparatus, not only making sure that the employees get what they want and some of the bells and whistles, but being able to accommodate the future. So typically in the past, we can buy a single cab, commercial cab vehicle, but now we're gonna have more people at some point, more people on apparatus, so four-door custom commercial is kind of what we're gearing for, we're aiming for, so, he didn't have any of those all good, in his demo live, but certainly he is an option, along with US Fire Pump and some other companies.
Good.
See, I'm just going through the list, tax renewal, that's been Adam and myself, and that's really got in front of strategic planning. We've been a little strategizing on, you know, when to get started, and so we've had some discussions around that. The strategic planning, it's pretty much, we stopped that, about 2 weeks ago, moved focusing more on the millage. As far as that, I don't have anything else. Does any other committees? No? All right. Yeah, so let's go ahead and move past that. That brings us into old business. And so under the old business, so we had a call for election, so give you an update on that. Last Thursday, went to the parish council. A little confusing, to say the least. It was on the consent calendar, and then it was off the consent calendar, and it was back on the consent calendar, and we were told to leave. We allowed, and then they voted. So, but at the end of the day, I don't think there was anybody in opposition for it, so it passed the council. The next steps as it relates to the election. So to sum it up, so we're on for the election. That'll be November 14th. There's some milestones that we need to finish up on. Next step, most current, would be by the 19th, our legal needs to file the application with the State Bond Commission. Then from there, we have to start making some publications in the parish, in our journal. And I've got the list of dates. You want me to give it to you now, or you want to later? You have the dates? Okay. Then, we go into the State Bond Commission, they approve it. November 9/22, Secretary of State gets the filings, and it's all the paperwork's done, it's gonna be on the machines, it's gonna be all there. 11/15 is the election, and then we have to, on 12/10, canvass the returns and, accept it, or whatever we reject it. Hopefully, we're accepting. So that's all we have on the election, and I'll pause for a minute to see if you have any questions. Okay. Then we've got some housekeeping resolutions. There's no action. Well, it's stuff that we've already taken care of. So at our last regularly scheduled board meeting, we had a resolution, which was 0226, and all we need to do is read into the record that it was approved, and I signed it, and Mr. Leo has the package here to sign. We also have resolution 2025-027, which was an approval of some equipment purchases. That was approved, and no action tonight, just we signed it and read it into the record. We had a special meeting, which we had a resolution 028, and that was relating to freezing the contributions that the employee has to pay. And as you may recall, we amended that to say we're capping it at 16,000.
Correct.
Okay, and so those were done, the amendments were made, and it's in there being signed. This is just a simple carryover from last month under new business, falls into the old business tonight. Is any updates on badges and credentials?
The, we have not made a purchase yet of any of the badges or the wallets, the folds yet. I'm looking to find something that's gonna be sufficient for us to hold our ID badges and our ID tags and our badges. Something that's compact, different than what we have as far as our badges and pins. They're thicker, so we have to work with Benson's, who is the local supplier for Blackington, which makes our badges. So there's a little bit of a third party, middleman kind of thing that we're gonna get through, but it is on my radar. Some things have taken a little bit of a priority with the election stuff being thrown in the mix, so it is on my radar. We're still working on this.
Okay, thanks, Chief. Anything else on old business? Rolls into new business. So first on the agenda for new business is an election advisor. And, we have to have a positive outcome for this election that's coming up in November. I really believe it's crucial to the future of this fire department. If the election that's coming in November fails, we may get 2 more attempts for a renewal. I'd rather not get to that point. I know we're gonna have at least one if this failed. The day of landslide wins for renewals, tax renewal, is essentially a thing of the past. Everyone that we speak to suggests that if we win the election, expect to win by about 55-56%. And consider that a big win. Yeah, don't be offended if it gets down in the low 50s. It's gonna be difficult for us because it's falling in a November election and it's going to be after the primaries. If people get satisfied in primary, there's really no need for them to go vote in November. So you may get low turnouts on it, which is going to make it even more difficult for us. So when you start talking turnouts of 500, it doesn't take many people just, sway it one way or the other. What we, to give the best opportunity for us to be successful, in continuing to serve the people of Lacombe, we've explored using a campaign consultant. The company is Campaign Depot. Different name, I guess. They are a locally St. Tammany organization. They've got a pretty good success track record. It's my understanding on renewals, they're 100%. 18, I think, elections, you said?
17 or 18.
17 or 18, and they were all successful. I don't know if we've had any individual campaigns for like offices or not. I don't know if he has that or not. He is used by District 1. But I will point out that he led the campaign for the library. And the library was a real oddity. There was a lot of disgruntled people about taxes during that time period. And it actually passed fairly well, if I remember right. It's a good percentage of the vote. So I'd like to get into some more discussion about bringing on this advisor. And to do that, I'll need to get a motion to bring on a Campaign Depot as a campaign consultant.
Okay, I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second on that? All right, so we have a second on it, so that leads us up to discussion, so.
Can we identify each turnout as far as the Lacombe area?
Say that again,
The
please.
weak turnout, where people turn out to vote in certain area that we need to concentrate on.
Have we identified that? I have not. I would hope that this individual could be that guy
We have, well, how many precincts do we have?
for,
4, right?
we got 4.
One polling place, right?
2.
2, where's the second polling place?
No, I'm sorry.
Just the one in the
No,
middle?
that's 701, 702. Where's 3 and 4?
Yeah, the rec district and I think the school.
Okay, so that's the one I'm missing, is
Yeah,
the school.
okay.
So 1 and 2 is the gym, and
Yeah.
1 block away.
Yeah. That's all.
Yeah.
Has, in the past, has this department ever done this before? Have we ever hired somebody to push a
During our
village?
parcel, attempt at a parcel, we hired a company to do some of the stuff. It was not extensive as we're going to have with, Sam Caruso and his company. That failed, so if that has anything to say about that company. But I'm highly optimistic with this gentleman that we spoke to just 2 days ago that it's gonna lead us on the right path and give us all the need to be able to facilitate this election. So it's my first time ever having one. And I think Danny and Mr. Jacks both, it's probably new to them as well as board members and all of us. So it's definitely something I think that's important for us to have. So no, not 4 millages, I don't believe we have, but for that one parcel which failed, we did have some kind of
Well,
consultant.
it's a completely different board and leadership and then the
Yeah.
parcel fee. And I would say this, I believe this is the same consultant that District 1 is using for the renewal of their parcel fee.
It is.
And not only does he get out the voters, but he also identifies both those that vote and those that typically do not vote. But he also is very aggressive in curing any misstatements in social media, which is something that, unfortunately people can put out there that really don't care about the truth on some occasions, and he addresses that instantly.
Are they gonna completely handle all the social media?
So he's going to provide us with the tools and information we need to put on social media. So he will not actually be doing social media. He will not be publicizing the information on our website. He will not be producing the pamphlets and documents. He will be giving us the information to put on those.
Yeah, because, in my experience with the social media, when issues are placed out there, if there's no interaction, it's worthless. if there's not anybody monitoring the media, social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever is going to be used. If nobody's doing it and interacting with the people that have questions from the community, it's worthless.
Or correcting somebody that posted something that.
Or putting falsehoods out there. If there's nobody monitoring this, that's why I wanted to ask. I see that they have media consulting in their scope of work, media and consulting advice given to SDPFD3. So do you have somebody that's going to be designated to handle that?
Yeah, so currently I'm the only one that does it,
Okay.
but in that event, we will uptick our resources. And he did mention, I believe that he also will be involved in some of that stuff. Some of the other library and other elections that he's assisted with, he's actually been on their sites responding to these concerns as well. So look, whatever he needs, if he needs access to our resources, our Facebooks, he's certainly gonna have access to that so we can get this stuff, these questions answered appropriately, yeah.
But
So,
so, if we get a negative response, do we contact those people? See what their issues are?
Yeah, we're certainly gonna respond to negative and positive responses, and we're gonna answer transparently, openly, honestly, and give them the information they need to go out and vote
Okay.
so there's some of the things, as I recall the conversation with the consulting company, that he's going to actually develop some tools for us that firemen can have, chief can have, we can have. And it's the more common questions that maybe that come up. And it allows us to have talking points in our pocket. And if so desired, we could actually put it in their hand. The other thing I thought was really the modern aspect of it was developing an AI product. And he did it for Slidell. I had a chance to get into the Slidell one and work it. And I don't think it was meant for the public just yet, but it was more for the people in the department. And you could generate a question and type it into this AI, and it would generate a response. And I sat there for a while and just played with it, like, what do you, I think I typed in, what are you gonna waste the money on? And it came up and it said, there is no intention to waste. We will do everything we can to make sure that we're giving the right resource to you folks. I'm making it up as I go. But it actually gave those questions. So, as a tool, if you had a question, a negative question that came out on social media, we could take that question and embed it right into that AI, and then the AI would generate an answer. Now, again, it's an automated, it's a computer generated answer. So we'll have to make sure that that's the words we want to say. But what it does is it gives you a very clean, not combative, nice answer to somebody who may have something negative to say. So I thought it was an interesting tool that was going to be used for us.
Okay, going along with that, okay, states here in the scope of work that video, audio, any kind of content is optional. Have you got any cost on any?
The AI,
Yeah, any any production of media services, any production.
what do you recall?
Assistance? Because it just seems like a lot of, I don't know. It's just me. It just seems like a lot of money for just consulting. I don't know.
So, it does. It appears to be a lot. Let me pull it into perspective for you. If you take what he's asking, that equals 0.003% of our budget. If this thing does not pass,
Yeah.
then, what, we have one more shot, and what's gonna be the cost of that? I'm not confident that we could do the old fashioned political campaign, get out in front of the people, hoorah, hoorah, and it passes. because everybody loves us. There is nobody in St. Tammany Parish has anything positive to say about taxes. Even though that this is not a new tax, this is an in lieu of tax, which basically means that it's the same tax. It's still got that nasty 3-letter word in it, tax, and people don't want to hear it. I don't know any other way to hedge our bet. I don't.
Well, I agree. None of it, all of us, I'm not an expert in this election business, you know. And any type of advice is well needed. I know it's needed. But I'm kind of thinking, I mean, you just mentioned the percentage of it is our budget. Would it be worth, I mean, this, let me frame it, okay. Would you have what we have here, the cost that we have here? Do you think that is all we need?
I
Or
can't
do you
answer
think we
that.
need to step it up a little further and,
We're going, there'll
you
be
know,
other,
put a little more money in it for media? you know?
they may be. They may be. There will be things that are gonna be coming up, but they're not gonna require board approval. They fall within the spending authority of the chief.
Mhm.
So there are some things that we could do. This has exceeded his spending authority by $500. So that's why we have to talk about it.
Chief, do you think that this consulting and this amount of fees, do you think it is sufficient?
I think it is sufficient. We do have some funding for advertisement that we budgeted for already, that we have, so we do have a little bit of wiggle room as far as advertising. I think this is important because we do have to tiptoe around the election because we are civil service employees as well. So
Yeah, right.
we need this gentleman to be able to tell us exactly what we can do as civil service employees. Of course, y'all are board members or not, so you can go out and say, vote for this, support this, yes, no. But as a civil service employee, I have to word things very differently in the way we approach things as far as civil service. I absolutely think that money is worth what we're getting. He is going to provide us the materials and information if we want to produce videos. I don't know that we're going to go as far as commercials on television, but certainly social media. You can see we're putting out a lot of video as we speak, so we have that ability, and we've discussed other options too, as well as far as getting our information out publicly in video and stuff like that.
Supporting a military rule doesn't rise to a prohibited political activity.
Mhm.
It's typically when you're dealing with a politician and
But
somebody.
it was his advice was the perception.
Correct, it is a perception, but
Yeah.
it's not, but you can support a partial fee. I mean, you can support a tax, you just can't support an individual. Yeah.
So to answer your question, I think that cost and what he's offering off the bat is appropriate. Certainly if we get to a point where we need to ask for additional funding or pay for some additional advertising or media outlets, then we would certainly,
Mhm.
we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I think for what he's offered in the conversations we had a couple of days ago, that funding is well worth it, the money he's asking.
Okay.
Adam, do you have anything to add to it?
Yes. So dealing with this over the last couple of weeks and, putting in some deep thought into the strategy behind this. I've come to understand how nuanced this is.
Yeah, very much so.
And to go to with what you said, who's voting, who isn't voting, why are they not voting? I've come up with the same answer basically every time, and it comes to, I just don't know. That's my answer. I don't know. I don't know if that's the way we ought to go into this without having a clear understanding. After meeting with this gentleman, I forget his name,
Sam Caruso.
Mr. Caruso, these are things he knows. He understands the nuance behind the election.
Okay.
And that is something that gives me peace, at least. I'm knowing that he does understand who's voting, who's not voting, why they're voting, what messages would make more sense. As I said, this process has really taught me what I don't know, and it's significant, what I don't know. So that being said, I think it would be a move in the right direction to have somebody that does understand this space. Yeah. Andrew.
Jim, raise your hand.
But on this millage here, are we asking something a little different? I know the millage is normally what, 10 years, 5 years?
10 years,
Ain't we trying to go further with that?
20.
So if we try to go further, we probably need something like that to get it further because we have, in order to get to 20 years, 10 years normally it comes around, we get it most time, no problem. But it seems like we're trying to push for 20. So we may need to go more because this 20-year millage that we're asking for is gonna provide so much for this fire department. So we may have to extend our stuff out to try to get this pushed, since we're asking for more than what we normally get. That's what I'm looking at.
I agree.
Yeah, and so there's no confusion. We're not asking for more money and more taxes. We're simply asking for a longer, millage. So,
And it's combined the two, so it's not, to phrase it correctly, it's in lieu of tax, not really a renewal.
But it's a change.
It's a change.
Change. Yeah, and people don't like change.
I hope you not like change and.
Yeah.
Correct.
I mean, it is what it is.
But the reality is, you have a positive message, you have combining. So there's, I believe, many more positives than negatives, other than you just have to go to the public.
Yeah. Anything else on it?
Very good.
Okay, so we've got a motion and we have a second. We did have some discussion. And so now to vote, and the vote would be to contract with Campaign Depot to function as a consultant to the district for the November 14th election, I believe it is, for the renewal. I'm sorry, in lieu of tax. Okay, so if there's no further discussion, let's go ahead and vote. All in favor of listing Campaign Depot, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hear none, so the motion carries.
And we'll record keep that as resolution 29.
Okay, and if you can nudge Chad
I will.
to flip this back to us tomorrow would be much appreciated, because we gotta get this guy on board like really quick.
ASAP.
Yep. All right, guys, thank you.
just to add real quick, he is gonna meet with some of the other commissioners as well. We did mention that. So he will be meeting with y'all separate,
Yeah, 2 at a time.
yeah, to discuss his tactics and plans.
Mhm.
Ask questions.
Yeah, and just to, just to firm it all back up to just to control information in and out. Michael's gonna be the point for information going in, so, if we got discussions that we wanna have with them, direct them to Michael.
Good.
All right, and then the last thing I have, so, this year is marking the 20-year anniversary of Katrina.
Seem like it.
It does. It does.
Yesterday.
See what hurricane. So there's been a lot so far this year, or this week rather. You've been seeing a lot of public groups. New Orleans did it. Some other public entities were doing it. They look back on Katrina. This is our opportunity as a board of commissioners to look back, think about it, talk about it. I don't have a long presentation. The what I have here is my view from the camera lens. So this was, I remember this image, and I was sitting, what used to be the chief's office at 31. That's where the well pump would come on, kick off, remember? Yeah, I think that's where you got your medical supplies now. And I was watching this as it come across Florida, the devastation that was there. And the landfall was really supposed to be coming in right through this area, which would have been around, what was that, Morgan City, I believe it was, just slightly to the east of Morgan City. And I was thinking about how bad it was going to be. And I was sitting in that room and I was thinking, there's nobody else was in there except me and that little pump kicking on and off. And I was really thought how bad we were gonna get beat up on this. So just to give you an idea of what was going on at the time, quite ironic, in New Orleans, we were in the throes of the National EMS Convention. And there were thousands of paramedics and medical people that was here. The city was just crawling with them. Then, you know, the word came that it was pretty clear that it was coming our way. And people started leaving, and they were leaving Macomb. And as they were leaving, they were taking whatever they had in their pantry that they couldn't haul off, or whatever they had in their freezer, and they were dropping it here. That was Corolla's at the time, wasn't Leishman's. That might have been Leishman's. No, it was Corolla's. It was Corolla's at the time. They actually took whatever they couldn't store in portable freezers, they gave to us. And so we were stocking things up. We split the fire department, we split our resources between station 31 and 33. 33 was relatively a new building. So some folks went up there. We did not put anybody at station 32. So we left it unmanned. And that was a transition period. That was the transition between the volunteers and the paid. So what we really had was a coalition of two organizations. They were blending together, but they still were separate in some way. Then you were still a volunteer now?
Volunteer.
And you stayed?
Not for the storm, I left, I came back.
I knew I thought you had gone, but then my mind started thinking, well, maybe it didn't. Yes. And so we had those two organizations. Landfall was on Monday, right? So it was a Monday landfall. As always, night. It was a nighttime event. But here in Macomb, we really didn't feel anything until early morning hours of Tuesday. And that building over there is kind of like some really thick bricks, right? So you really couldn't get an idea how strong the winds were blowing out there. But you could open the door and you could see. And it was really difficult to understand the damage because how dark everything was outside. And I recall how slow that thing was. That Tuesday, when we were getting the effects of it, was it lasted all day. It was an all-day deal, right? And the world was watching. Lacombe. We actually had a news crew that was here. And I can't recall if they were overseas or they were domestic. I don't remember, but I remember it was a cameraman and a lady reporter that was there. And that was when daylight came, and this is what it looked like. And so tell you what we were looking at, this looks out of the engine bay where the rescue truck and the ambulance is. And so that view is looking right over at Sunny Tom's on that side of the building. And so you can see the amount of rain, and you can see some of the debris. And that's what we've seen. And we've seen a very small spear. It's like looking through a peephole of what was going on in Lacombe. And this is looking down Lake Road, and it's a very important picture that I want you to remember. And the thing that I want you to remember is Lake Road. And you can see it going down. You can see some puddling of water. That was all rainwater. And that was when the storm was right equal to us, right? So it missed us. It was now, we was kind of like on the western side of the eye. It was kind of calm, not your traditional eye, but it's kind of calm. But remember this, remember Lake Road. Now, this is an image looking down Fish Hatchery. That's what Fish Hatchery Road looked like. And it was quite interesting in that we were standing there, I was several feet away from this guy, but you could hear him coming through the trees. And We didn't know what the hell it was, but this guy all of a sudden appeared out of the trees. He never spoke, he didn't say a word, and he just walked past. I don't know who he is. I don't know where he was going. He couldn't go far. I never knew whatever became of him. He went away. That was not, the oddity, that was the norm. People, had no thoughts. They were empty. Their whole thing was empty. This was just some of the gathering, that's Debbie, that was my wife, that was in the administration office. Joe Costado, and the guy behind me was Jody Palmer. You know, Jody died, what, 15 years ago?
About that, yeah.
Yeah, Joe, so, but Jody was very active in what was taking place here. And so, this is looking out the front engine bays. And I told you, you know, remember that road, and remember the guy coming out of the tree, and then the rain started coming again. So the winds actually did a shift on us. And all of a sudden, this woman shows up, and she's soaking wet. And we had no idea, you know, what would you think? You would think that she was just walking in the rain. It was, you know, obviously pouring down rain. But that's what she came through. Now, that is 8th Street. That is this road that runs right alongside of us. And that is on the south side of the track. Joe Allen's house is back over here somewhere. And this was that road, wasn't the name of that road, the French road from to on the right?
But Peter's gonna be, I mean,
That's crazy, it's a fire department, we don't know the first. But that's what we think, right? And, look at the face. And that's what was pretty much etched on everybody's face that was around here. Lake Road, right? Remember I said, look down Lake Road and you can see puddles of water. This was not hours later. From the time I took that picture looking down Lake Road, an hour passed. And that's what came after about an hour. And I remember these folks, he was blind with spina bifida. And he fell. I believe the story is that they found him and his mother on top of refrigerators in their house. He ended up with broken ribs, and we kept him here on the station for a few days until we could clear a passage up to the hospital. And there's folks putting, transferring that fellow from the boat, and that's his mom. And that's Doc, remember Doc? And that's his son, Joe Costado, Danny Flynn. That's my daughter, Dana. And Mark Frost. Yeah, Mark Frost. Okay, now this picture is looking down 190, and that's the ridge. Okay, so this was a dry spell. So we got it 1 hour later. That's the volume of water that came into this community in an hour. And again, the thing that got me was the faces. Everybody's face had that same numb, empty look to them, like there was nothing behind the eyes. They were just existing. I don't know who this lady is. Thought maybe you might know. No. In some more expressions from the people, they just had no clue. And you know, it's Dutch Doc's wife. I cannot for the life of me remember this guy's name.
I think Robert Anthony. That's
I don't know. No. He was a paid employee. Yeah, he was paid. He was a paramedic that we hired. I just don't remember his name. And so you've seen the devastation there in Macomb, and you've seen how the roads were blocked, and there was nothing coming in here, and absolutely nothing leaving. So you can imagine the amount of trees between here and Mandeville, between here and down 434 was incredible. So this is some interesting pictures. I'm not gonna get a lot into outside of Lacombe, but these were interesting. That was the Superdome. And, you know, it really inflicted the damage. You can see the roof, which, you know, the force of the rain and the wind that took the roof off. And that, as you guys probably recall, that was a refuge of last resort. Thousands of people in there, should have never been in there. They had no way out. They had nowhere else to go. I remember that photograph in, the picture doesn't do it justice. That's Canal Street, looking down Canal Street. And the picture doesn't pick it up, but the water, the sky was really blue, and the water just looked like beautiful blue water all the way down to the river. That's what it looked like. This was, Ninth Ward at the breach of the levee, so there were the bars that hit the concrete embankment there that took out that section. And that's the point of impact, so you can see the energy of the water that went through that area. And, this is, just more of the same that was up in that area. That's a church that was on Catherine Avenue in some side street. I don't remember the side street of it. It's just everything in there tossed around. I remember the kitchen, the chair that was stuck up in the ceiling fan. It was quite interesting. I actually have an American flag that I dug out of the mud out of that church. I got it at home. And I don't have the picture of it, but when I walked out of that building and the people I was with, that was the most lonesomest time in my life. I was with people, but what got me so lonesome is there was a helicopter passing over. I think it was what we call it, it's a Corsi, that was the twin blade. Chinook. The Chinook that was passing over, and you could hear the blades popping, and it was so clear to hear them pop, there was no other noise. And it was just so lonesome, is that, you know, you were so, nobody there for you. And I debated whether or not to show that, but I liked it too. Even the dead did not rest. They were bodies scattered everywhere. This just happens to be a tomb that had flipped over, and the remains of whoever was in there. That is a note that was left on a fire station in Mandeville. That's one my son had left. And he just basically let us know that he was okay. The kids were fine, and his phone worked every now and then. And but we're okay, and they loved us, and he dated it on one. You know, it was a 1:15. I would imagine it was 1:15 in the day, if I had to guess. But there was a lot of notes that were like that. I've got a note somewhere, I couldn't find it, I would have gave it. It was from a lady. We were going down Fish Hatchery, and I had a police car that was fire decals on it. And she come running out to the car, and she gave me a note and had to get this message to her children. You got to get this message. And she said the code word, and I can't remember it to save my life. Could have been pineapple or asparagus. I don't know what it was. But they had a code word, and we actually ended up getting the message out. We didn't have phones here, but through radio communications, we was able to get a person somewhere and actually got a communication out to her. And so I'm going to close it with this, is that we had no idea the death and destruction that had occurred around us. We had no idea. We heard stories over the emergency response radio. That's all we had. We were getting from, I guess it was in Covington, emergency response headquarters. We would get communications with them on times. They had people in the area that had ham radios, and we heard a lot of stuff. Some of the stuff was true, a lot of it wasn't. It was just, I don't know why the stories got out there. I tell you, the one that I remember was that they were rioters coming across Highway 11 bridge. The sheriff's office had put up a barricade at the foot of the bridge to shoot them, and there were refrigerator tractor trailers there to store the bodies. never, ever come close to happening. I think the closest to it is they found some lady and her granddaughter on a horse in New Orleans East. That was as close to the truth that it ever became. Areas of south of Highway 190 went from wind damage to flooding in a matter of minutes. We were housing the public in Station 31. I don't know, I guess maybe 20 people in there. I think is what we had. You seen the best of them? By God, you seen the worst of them. Things you would never think a human being would do. I'm not gonna dwell into that. And the fire department was the only help the people of Lacombe had standing. That was it. I believe 4 or 5 days after, we got a load of dry Gatorade from FEMA. They dropped the pallet off to us. That was the first. Everything that was done by this department. We cleared the roads. We did that. With public. People were coming out of the woodworks, man, said, I got keys to the front end loaders over at Pagestone. I thought, all right, cool. So we did that. So, well, yeah, but I'd like to say, it would be a good story to stand in. That man, we were standing strong. The guy would. We really would. We were flaring, we were breaking, our knees were bending. We absolutely had no idea what to do next. Everything was a decision at the moment. Is Lacombe better positioned to sustain another event like Katrina? I don't know. I cannot tell you. The only way we'll figure that out is if we get another Katrina. That's the only way for sure to tell. The only thing for sure I can tell you is that Lacombe is different. We're a different group of people as a result.
Certainly have more population now than we did back then.
And so, that kind of the end of what I had. I didn't want to get too strong into it.
Good job, Dan.
Very good, very nice presentation.
If you remember in Slidell, Old Town, the water was 9 feet. They had, at one time, we're gonna put medallions on all the poles. Show people after the fact that fell through. It was 9 feet in Slidell, and then all of it was just right at the twin span. They have a picture from a camera that was mounted on a light pole where the wall was over the top of the light pole.
Wow.
They came in.
Quite impressive. That was my first outage, that I was moved from representing the fire department to representing the EMS, Bureau of Health and Hospitals, and we were attempting to stage a hospital, and the idea was to put it at the foot of the twin span on I-10, which that got nixed.
Well, the twin span, if you remember, was not fastened down. It's not the proper.
No, but it was a lane.
Literally, the wave lifted the twin span and actually moved it off.
Yes.
And they had to replace the entire twin span.
That's correct, yeah.
And we were with District 1 at the time, and I remember Bud Kane was the chairman of the board, and he had a LaSar team. He was over in Houston and came back with his search and rescue dog. They turned me around for bringing supplies down. The state police did in Baton Rouge. And he called me and said, you meet me here and you can come through on my badge. I drove all the way into exit 80 Airport Road. They unloaded, had like 5 pallets of water and stuff that I brought down. And they made me turn around and go back. And I had to have enough fuel to get all the way back to probably Alexandria to get to fuel again.
Yep, there's
But my father at the time was the purchasing manager for a steel distributor, and I had brought down rescue saws with the carbide blades, and he said, they had went to the gentleman at Home Depot and given him the keys and said, just write on a yellow pad what you need. And they had staged everything north of 12 as kind of a levee. And it took them 20 hours to cut out the trees just to get equipment to the interstate.
That's about what it took us. So Chuck had a crew up at 33, and we started cutting at the same time.
And that was cutting wide enough to get a vehicle through, not cutting it all the way to get the road clear.
In between all the watches.
Yeah.
So we were delayed, because you remember the water that showed a high tension line that come down and dipped very close to the water. And we couldn't get confirmation from the utility companies that it was de-energized. Pretty good assumption that it wasn't, but we couldn't get it confirmed. And then there was a group of young men that came out of nowhere and they were out there fooling around, and one of them reached up and touched that wire and moved it out of the way, and it's like, all right, guys, we got good to go. And so we ended up meeting Chuck. It took us a couple of days, but I think we met Chuck about Berry Todd.
But you talk about being better prepared, at the time, everybody had satellite phones, but they were so overwhelmed with satellites that you couldn't get out. And I had OnStar in my truck, and I had different satellite systems, so they used my truck to communicate and say, we're live, but this and that and this.
Oh, just one more thing to add to it. Little Lacombe, right? Little Podunk Lacombe actually became, the people of Lacombe, the fire department of Lacombe represented the state of Pennsylvania as a distribution center. And the state of Pennsylvania was trucking in massive amounts of stuff.
Yeah.
Anything from used underwear, police cars. I mean, we had, the only thing we didn't have was weapons and ammunition.
But going into your renewal, or not your renewal, but your, in lieu of, this story is probably great to play to the public going into that election. Because nobody wants Katrina to.
No, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. I'll leave that up to the experts to make that decision. I'm kind of done with Katrina. I'm done, right? It's been 20 years, I just soon bury it and let it be alone.
But that impacted the community, you're the only group that ran in.
Yes.
We didn't run in, we didn't run out,
Right.
we stayed.
That's good, I mean,
Yeah.
you were here to help.
Yeah, we.
You know, you think about it, I'm a baby boomer, but my parents, it's like World War II. The war was a benchmark in their lifetime. Now you talk to people in Louisiana, Katrina is a benchmark in our lifetime, before and after.
Yeah.
And the second part is your story did not get told to the national news media because everything concentrated on the Levin failure.
Yeah.
So everybody in the
Well,
North did not get.
That's what I was gonna say, we were there with sort of representing Pennsylvania, but Pennsylvania gave us some very clear orders. Now I'm talking, we rebuilt actually the city of Gulfport out of Lacombe, government. They had their people, they had nothing, and they had a triple wide trailer, and we had furniture and filing cabinets, and that all was there. But this was the message from the state of Pennsylvania. It is not to go to the American Red Cross.
Right.
Do not give it to the American Red Cross. Do not turn it over to the state of Louisiana. Do not give anything to the city of New Orleans. He said they got enough. You do what you want to do with the rest of it. And we did. I think we kept a hovercraft.
For a while.
Boy, that was a hoot. I think about saying, when we get it. That's about the only thing we really enjoyed.
Yeah, hovercraft, we had some motorized wheelchairs and some other stuff.
One thing that we lost out with, I remember, I got back here, first time in my career, I was on vacation. I didn't have to be at the fires. So my wife and I, we packed up everything, took my camper, and we went to Dallas. That's how far we were. When I saw that had satellite photo up there, I said, we got to have, because we were originally going to stay. I was going to stay, and it got so big. Oh, I said, we're not staying here for this. So we hit the road. But anyway, I got back to Lacombe Thursday, and I got off the interstate, and I ran into a Washington Academy lineman, and get this, you're not going to have power here for 6 to 8 months. But to our advantage, all of the linemen were stacked here on the North Shore waiting to go into New Orleans. They couldn't get into New Orleans. So guess what? All those linemen stayed here. I had power back in, I think, 6 weeks, 7 weeks.
Well, sounds right.
Something like that.
So, guys, that brings us to the end. What we need is a motion to adjourn.
Make my.
We'll go home.
Before that, and so my wife and I and daughter left on Houston, that Monday, and must have got there at Tuesday morning. And at Tuesday evening, Jody Palmer and,
Joe,
Joe, I'm sorry,
give the stop.
called me and said, I just called to tell you that, we anchored the boats on the roof of your house. Yeah, I said, what are you talking about? You know, he said, boy, I said, boy, that's me. He said, I'm telling you, I wish I could send you a picture. We anchored the boat, we tied the thing on the roof of your house. Jesus. You know, so I couldn't speak. So my son and I drove back, came back 2 days later, couldn't get in the house, couldn't get down there. Just- Yes.
I was in Georgia.
Everybody, everyone.
Something.
I was,